Chapter 1, Ingredients of the Mindful Leadership. In this chapter, 6 articles. 5 Theories of Leadership, written by Minna Klogs. 2 Aspects of the Leading of the Self, written by Daria Sementina. 5 Elements of Emotional Intelligence, Great or Dangerous, written by Sofia Lulu. 1 Principle of Mindfulness, written by Ch.1. Meditation as Needed, written by Sultanbekov Amir, and Abundant Leadership Experience, written by Cyril Diaz and Marcella Zoccoli. 5 Theories of Leadership. The mindful leadership seems to be a leadership approach still in the progress to become a theory. This is the reason why, during this educational journey, it has been necessary to scan several leadership theories, drawing elements from those with similar attributes, and create a theoretical frame design to represent its original essence. This article is based and adapted from the case study Mindful Leadership at Fratelli Branca Distillerie SRL, written by Zoccoli in 2017. Over time, according to many definitions of the concept of leadership, quite an extensive number of theories have been proposed to define it. As stated by Burns in 1978, leadership is one of the most observed and least understood phenomena on Earth. And before him, as pointed out by Stockdale in 1974, there are almost as many definitions of leadership as there are people who have attempted to define the concept. As suggested by Daft in 2014, the evolution of leadership can be divided into 4 main eras in which many theories have been formulated and designed. Era 1, the great person leadership. Era 2, the rational management. Era 3, the team or lateral leadership. Era 4, the learning leadership. From a theoretical point of view, the mindful leadership can be referred and allocated between the eras 3 and 4. Both these periods of the leadership evolution are characterized by a turbulent and unstable environment from 1970 until now, and they are respectively characterized by influence power and relational theories. 5 specific theories belonging to these 2 eras can be considered the conceptual source from which the mindful leadership takes shape. Their relevance is relative to the influence and relationship between leaders and their followers. The conceptualization of the mindful leadership can be framed by integrating some key aspects of the relational leadership theories and the influence power theories selected for this purpose. 1. The authentic. 2. The transformational. 3. The servant. 4. The resonant leadership. And 5. The leader-member exchange theory. The authentic leadership theory has been studied by many scholars in the recent years, and its definition is different depending on theorists who design it. Most of them, as for example Avolio, Gardner, Waluba, Dutans, and Mayo or George, agree that the core of this theory is in the leader's words, actions, and values. Its main attributes are self-awareness, a trusting relationship with the followers, and a high degree of self-acceptance, along with core positive values such as honesty, altruism, kindness, fairness, accountability, and optimism. To support this point, as pointed out by Nahavandi, an authentic leader is a person with strong articulated values that guide decisions and behaviors. Moreover, the theory is founded on 4 key elements: self-awareness of one's emotions, motives, abilities, and inner conflicts unbiased or balanced consideration of issues, behaviors reflecting personal values and convictions, as well as relational authenticity that allows for openness and appropriate sharing. As pointed out by Avolio and Gardner, authentic leadership is the basis for some other value-based theories, and so for the transformational and servant leadership theories too. In fact, according to Daft, transformational leadership is based on the personal values and beliefs beyond the qualities of the leader. It's characterized by the ability of the leader to bring out significant changes in both the followers and the organizations. The essence of the transformational leadership theory is focused on three main aspects: inspiring the followers through charisma and inspiration, being able to overcome the resistance to change, and going beyond one's own self-interest for the good of the group. The theory also includes the ideas of developing the followers through intellectual stimulation, from lower level physical needs, safety and security, to higher level psychological needs, self esteem and self actualization, and empowering the followers in becoming leaders through the third and last factor, the individual consideration. This last point is important also because it connects this theory to the leader member exchange theory, which is part of the theoretical framework of the mindful leadership. The leader who follows the transformational approach treats each single follower with a different but equitable individual attention so that the followers feel special. The focus on the follower is also one of the elements of servant leadership, but transformational leadership focuses on developing the followers through idealized inspiration, individualized consideration, and intellectual stimulation. On the other hand, the servant leadership concept, which was proposed by Greenleaf in 1970 and which became the title of a book in 1977, has its focus on the follower's needs. In the Greenleaf's model, there are four basic aspects. Service must be put before self-interest, the action of listening before affirming others, and trust must be inspired by being trustworthy, and last but not least, there is the element of nourishing others by helping them to become a whole. The results of servant leadership in society is that there will be more people committed to serving as moral agents. This commitment to shared beliefs and values is a concept that can be found in the resonant leadership too. Resonant leadership is a relatively new theory among the relation-focused leadership approaches. Designed by Boyatzis and McKees in 2005, it is different from the other theories of leadership because of its foundation on the emotional intelligence, as meant by Goleman. Resonant leaders' features are empathy and inspiration, passion and compassion, as well as the commitment and ability to read people and groups accurately. They enable people and followers to be the best they can be by providing hope and courage in moving toward challenges, change, and future. The key concept of the relationship found in resonant leadership and the concept of individual consideration in transformational leadership are strictly connected to the fifth and last leadership theory that this combination of theories refers to, namely the leader-member exchange, or so-called LMX theory. The LMX theory focuses on an individualized leadership model, exploring the way in which the leader-member relationships develop over time and how the quality of exchange relationships can affect the final outcome. This relationship-based exchange is unique. At the first impact, this theory focusing on the different relationships of the leader with each follower could seem irrelevant compared to the previous four theories focusing on individuals. However, With its in-group and out-group member categories, the integration of this theory can be relevant for understanding how mindful leadership is perceived and experienced by the members of the two groups. In the LMX theory, the followers belong to the in-group, inside the company, or very close to the leader, and the out-group consists of the stakeholders gravitating outside the company. For the members of the in-group, some studies have confirmed that the outcome is positive, and this leads to high performance, high self-realization, and low stress. Meanwhile, for the followers of the out-group, this situation is quite different, and the quality of the relationship is, according to their role, mainly limited to the formal job and poor performance, commitment, and loyalty. As mentioned at the beginning of this article, there is not yet a specific theory about the mindful leadership, but there are some theories with common approaches and traits. In table 1 of the chapter, or the visual chapter, the correspondences between the mindful leadership approaches and the 5 selected theories can be shown. As it can be noted, the authentic, servant, and resonant leadership theories show approaches like those of the mindful leadership as suggested by Wells and shown in Table 2. This means that 3 theories have similar features to the mindful leadership philosophy, despite they have some different key principles and they follow different paths and styles to be performed. An example, they have some common aspects like trust, compassion, and patience because they all focus on the leader's concern for the well-being of others, and so the need to achieve a high level of attention in listening and being present in the moment as an important asset for the high quality of the human or the working relationship in which they are interested and involved. At the same time, they may have different shades according to the same characteristics. Being present in the moment is a common component in the 3 theories, but it can be specified with 3 different readings and meanings. In fact, being fully present does not always mean being mindful. It refers to the mindfulness area, but it must be read and understood in its meaning of construct or practice according to the specific perspective of the theory of reference. In the servant leadership theory, for example, as observed by Spears, one of the key principles is the inner serenity the leaders must have to be awake to the reality of present situation. This means that being fully present not necessarily means being mindful. A similar situation is shown in the authentic leadership, in which the leader's perception of the reality is a key factor which can influence followers' trust and emotions during change. Therefore, it is important the state of being fully present, but it is not a basic condition. In the resonant leadership, the being fully present means living in a conscious awareness of one's whole self, other people, and the context in which the leader and the followers live and work. But according to McKee, this mindful approach is not enough to bring to a true renewal and change without two further critical components, the hope and the compassion. Therefore, being fully present means being present, knowing one's abilities and limitations, knowing how we influence others, behaving ethically, and acting intentionally according to the specific situation happening in the present moment. But being mindful means being attentive and aware to what is happening in the present moment without judgment, catching the moment and use the given opportunity to make at that moment a Kaizen moment in its Japanese meaning of change for better. A positive growing for change action enabling a mindful choice in the respect of a wide perspective, including the people and environment. It is a more challenging state of being, a specific mode compared to some other alignments and of thoughts, as for example the self-reflection a form of critical thinking, or seeking and receiving feedback from external sources, which is a different mechanism for enhancing self awareness, which can be used in some other theories. The Alamics and transformational theories are important for the understanding of the differences in perceptions and experiences by the leader, the personnel, and the stakeholders for the practical application of the insights in the execution process that was integrated in the framework, but they had a partial relevance to the mindful discussion involved in this article. Being mindful can be related to the highest level of metacognition, which can bring the mindful leader to a meta awareness, elevating him or her to the ability to switch rapidly from an attached to a detached dimension of consciousness. According to Jankowski and Hollas, the main difference between the different conceptualizations of mindfulness, in this case, being fully present or being mindful, lies in the number of meta levels involved in the mindfulness process itself. Therefore, in order to frame the mindful leadership among the several studies and theories conducted on leadership after the 70s, there are two elements which can help in defining the concept of leadership: the mutual influence process and the relational emotional connection. As stated by Yuko, the leadership is the process of facilitating collective efforts to accomplish shared objectives. And as pointed out by Mary Ulbin, the role of emotions is a key point in human dynamics and interactions. The mindful leadership is a never ending process creation in which the aspects of the leading of the self, the elements of the emotional intelligence, the mindfulness as way of seeing, the meditation as tool, and the actions meant to execute the insight contribute to create a network of opportunity for the chance to become a mindful leader, experiencing leadership with an awareness based approach.